It's no secret that I love the standard Rubik's Cube, and when they started coming out with larger ones like the 5x5 and the 7x7, I bought as many as I could. Currently they make up to a 21x21 mass-produced, but I guarantee you've never solved one like this. The 49x49, thanks to Preston for the interview at the World Championship. Enjoy!
I'm here with
Preston Alden,
the world record holder for
the highest order Twisty puzzle.
the 49x49 by 49.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Preston, saw you in the puzzle maker room here at Worlds. I had no idea that such a big cube existed, but I'm obsessed with higher order puzzles. This is a 49x49, isn't it?
Yeah, this is the current world record for the highest order Twisty puzzle, at least for now.
Holy crap, dude. I am just blown away. We've been sitting here for like an hour trying to figure out what we're going to cover. We have a good outline, I think. So the first thing anybody asks is, why a 49x49? Like, you could choose any size. What got you here?
Yeah, why specifically 49? Why not 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a question I get a lot, actually. Why didn't I just go up to 50? And the short answer is that odd numbered cubes are much easier to make. So you can see it has a centerpiece here, and an even numbered cube would not have a centerpiece. On top of that, for the way we make even numbered cubes, it always has the same piece count as the next piece in the next cube up. So the question would be, instead of why not do a 50x50, it'd be really why not do a 51x51, because a 50 and a 51 have the same piece count anyway. And so all of these didn't really play into what I chose it for, though. The reason I chose 49 was because it had to be bigger than 33, which that was the record. And then I was drawing out a drawing of my design in my journal. I was drawing out a fractal. It was like a tree. And so the next step up in the tree was 49. It was just like that. And I didn't really plan for it to be 49, but when I counted it out, I was like, oh yeah, that's 49. And then,
Oops, accidentally made a world record holder. Uh-oh.
And I like that number. It's 7 squared. It was clean to me. It didn't bother me that it was just beneath 50.
Yeah.
I actually really like the number 49. Yeah, so it's kind of a loose answer. And I wanted it to be a reasonably large jump up.
You know, I know you said you hate this question, but you mentioned it, so why not above 50? Like,
Why not like 51?
yeah, I mean, like, you can do 49, you can do 59, then go to a 69, nice. Go to a 79, like, what? Just, come on, just keep going bigger. I mean, there's no limit, right?
No, yeah, there was a degree of just like, do I have faith in myself that I can pull this off? Because like it was a 33, and like I didn't have faith in myself that I could just suddenly pull off a 99x99. I just didn't have enough experience to feel if I had any clue whether or not that was even possible, never mind by me. And so, you know, there's a degree of like, what was the biggest I was comfortable with going? And so anywhere past, you know, roughly 49 was just about the top of where I felt like, okay, that's like a factor of 1.5. And it turned out that the piece count was twice the piece count of the previous record, the 33x33. This has 13,827 pieces, I think, and the previous record had something above 6,000 pieces.
Yeah.
And honestly, a factor of 2 sounded reasonable, but a factor of like 10 times the pieces or something like that didn't sound reasonable to me. So
For all of you that don't know at home and are just like going down the YouTube vortex and encountering a giant puzzle that just blows you away, the thing that a lot of people don't know about cubes is there are internals that all have to work together, which is why this is not just, oh, that's a cool piece of furniture. How much is that, $100? No. This is, I think, like a jigsaw puzzle on steroids that has to constantly work together and interact and move. So do you want to touch on that while I get some puzzles for demonstration?
yeah, sure. The way that I designed this was the way that a lot of people design Twisty puzzles, especially higher order Twisty puzzles, was I designed a 2-dimensional sketch, and that designed the way that the pieces would interact, and then I extruded out this 2-dimensional sketch, and then I cut the 3D blank shape into, I think it was like 520 different unique piece types, and then you mirror and duplicate those until you get up to 13,800 pieces. So yeah, the idea is that the pieces are all hooking against each other, and then they all kind of end at the centerpiece. The centerpiece is bolted to the core, and so you have the edge hooked under the centerpiece, and then you have other pieces hooked under the edge, and then you have other pieces hooked under those, but it all kind of, you know, you can trace the forces back to, everything is technically hooked to the centerpiece. I hope that kind of it answers your question a bit about.
No, when I grew up with learning the cube, the 5x5 was thought to be the biggest puzzle that could ever exist. So you kind of proved that wrong.
Yeah.
But there's been this development in cubing where it's entirely internal. Like you think you can just keep growing, but every time you grow, you have to figure out a way to make the internals hook together. And V Cubes pioneered the 7x7, and then we thought that 11x11 was the biggest that could be made because they said that that was the highest they could do. And it's just, now there's an explosion of people that are like, you know what, I can beat that. I can beat that. Are there any other world record holders that you would like to talk about, or records, or other puzzle makers that do similar things to you?
Like the 34? Like
yeah, 34? Like the 34 by 34.
Yeah, like Matt Bonner has a 34 by 34, and a guy, I think you say his name is Yang, he has a 35 by 35. All of them have in common 15% of the height of the cube has to be the edge, and there's no getting away from that. Otherwise, you'll cut off the corner. And actually, this cut actually kind of demonstrates that, believe it or not, more than you might
let me
expect.
get a pillowed cube. Some people, V-Cube got around that issue with making their cube pillowed, where you see the outer is shaped like a pillow. It's rounded so that the corners don't fall off when you turn it.
Yeah, and there's a few ways of approaching a cube, and like 47% of the material is spent on making this cube. It fundamentally is just the largest sphere that you can fit inside of a Twisty puzzle is where you can fit all of the mechanisms, and that's where all the mechanisms have to fit.
So there's a giant ball inside this cube?
Yeah, well, in a way, in a sense, but the ball is rigidly attached to the exterior. It's not separate pieces. The pieces then just extrude out from the inner ball, and then that just makes the look of this cube. And I always thought of it as the reason that we kind of went with pillowed was to save on material, and also to reduce the bulbous corner that was growing and growing as we used straight cuts. I shouldn't say we. Straight cuts.
I was involved.
And
we just met, but I was involved. Don't worry about it.
I wasn't involved. I only came into it afterwards. But if these straight cuts, the corners will get noticeably bigger and bigger and bigger, just in comparison to the internals. And so, pillowing helped to save material. And it also helped kind of reduce how obviously big the corner was getting. And
because I noticed the corner is the smallest part on this puzzle.
Yeah, so in the case of this, is I took a very bold aesthetic choice with this cube because I wasn't the biggest fan in the world of the giant corners. And at the end of the day, the corners aren't what have to be big. It's this edge that has to be big.
That middle edge specifically?
Yeah, just the middle edge piece has to be 15% of the cube's height. But the corner can be smaller, and they can be sequentially smaller as you go up. So I chose to shrink the corner, and I actually did have this represent a proportional expression of what a Rubik's Cube can be, where you can see the edge of this corner here is just as tall as the edge of this wing, of this edge piece. So the corners and the edges are all the exact same height. So it's like a different angle of proportionality, but this is despite having curves, it expresses another way to make things kind of equal in a way, so that the corner height and the edge height are just about the same. So if I had used straight cuts, these edges are about 15% of the cube's height, and if they had been straight from about here, the corner piece would have been about this large. I don't know if you can quite see that. It would have been about this wide. It would have looked massive, even though it's proportionally the same as this 7x7. And as you get bigger and bigger, it becomes more and more noticeable just how bulbous that corner was going to become. And I cut back on it in order to kind of make it look better. In my opinion, I'm not saying it objectively looks better, but in my opinion, I prefer this appearance of the cube. At the end of the day, it's only a cosmetic choice to have these curves. It doesn't change fundamentally what the puzzle is. It doesn't change what the puzzle can do. Yeah, it's just a 49 by 49 that looks kind of curvy.
Do you think it makes it turn harder or better being curved?
Little to no.
Can you do a curved turn?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to do a full turn, but let's just see how this beast
you might
turns.
think that maybe, how is this thing even going to turn? Yeah, I'll stand up as well. You can see it does turn. The pieces aren't getting caught on each other. It might have looked kind of odd. Like, how does this thing even work? But as you can see here, it might be a little bit difficult to visualize, but you can see that this is actually like a cone-shaped cutout here. You can kind of try to see that this is like a cone-shaped cutout of the top inside of a cube. And of course, a cone could rotate, and that's exactly what's happening. And the next layer is just another cone, another cone, and another cone. So that's how it can rotate in place and not get caught up and bandaged.
So these are all 3D printed pieces, right?
Yes, they are. It's a bit loose right now. I didn't.
Yeah, you can see the layers of the 3D print. I don't know if it's showing up on the camera.
Yeah, so every single piece was 3D printed, and so now we're going to probably struggle a bit to get this back in the square wear here. But here we go. All except for the bolts and the springs. All of this is 3D printed plastic, and the stickers, of course.
So you're telling me that this is fully functional?
Yes.
For those that don't know, checkerboard pattern is universally seen as showing off that every layer could turn, because that's how you get to it.
Yeah.
L2, R2, L2, R2, R2, L2, all the way down in every angle. Checkerboard? Checkerboard.
Yeah. When I started out and when I stickered it, I stickered this this was once a yellow face, and now this is fully checkerboarded. And I did that over the course of 25 hours because it turned so slow in order to prove that every single piece works. And that was also what I had to do to get the Guinness record. And I had to submit the time lapse of the checkerboard process.
So this isn't just a concrete block that you put the stickers on an alternating pattern?
It's fully functional. It is fully functional. It's very slow, but fully functional.
I mean, it is a beast, and it is very heavy. I've yet to lift it, but you want to tell about the specs and what it weighs?
Yeah, this weighs 30 kilograms or 65 pounds, depending on your unit system. It's 13 inches tall, and it is very awkward to pick up. And so I'm still too nervous to just grab it by the corners or grab it by the edges. I always pick it up with this piece of cardboard that might be a bit hard to see, but it's sitting on a piece of cardboard here, and I always pick it up with the piece of cardboard, and that disperses the forces across the faces, the face of the cube, and that way I'm not putting too much force on just one piece. Yeah.
So back in the day when I got my 13 by 13 mass-produced cube, I had horror stories in my mind playing of going on an airplane and having TSA say, "The inside of this looks suspicious. We need to take it apart." And just going to the side, "Sir, you have to stay back," slamming it down, breaking it. "You're clear to go. You need to get out of the way real quick because we got the next person that needs to take his shoes off." Do you have horror stories about this? You dream of?
That is very funny to say that. I would never take this on an airplane, not only because maybe TSA might stop it. I never even thought about that. That's funny, but I just don't trust this in anyone else's hands. In some ways, it's really sturdy, but in a lot of ways, it's extremely fragile. And I would never trust this in the hands of somebody who's just like loading a plane. And so I drove here. We're currently in Seattle, and I'm from Utah, and I drove 12 hours to get here just because I only trust my own hands with it. So yeah, what I do is I cover it with a cardboard box, and then I layer it in 2 layers of foam, and then I buckle it into the back seat like a child.
That's funny. My mind was literally there. Baby on board with your cube buckled in. I'm like, I don't want to say that. It would be disrespectful, but I'm glad you went there.
Yeah. So it's like a child in the back seat, and it weighs as much as a child.
But can you ride in the carpooling?
Yeah, I wish, but I don't think that the cop would accept that.
"I'm sorry, officer. I don't believe you've seen my baby." "Sir, how much have you had to drink tonight?" "Please step out of the car." Okay, so we're here at the World Championship. Some of the best speed cubers in the world are here. The 7x7, to my knowledge, is still the largest officially competitive cube. How fast do you think one of those solvers could do your 49 by 49? I know turning it is not so smooth because it is 3D printed. I don't think there's any lube in this. So there's just some extra layers of challenge, so to speak.
The cube itself turns so slowly that it would probably take hundreds of days of continuous turning to solve. So I don't think anyone's going to want to be trying to solve anytime soon, unfortunately. If it was a speed cube level of quality, I bet you could solve this thing probably within a day. Even though it'd be really heavy, I still think you could do it. But given how slow the turning is, if you just if you do some simple math, if it takes, it's hard to know how many turns it would take, but if it would take like 20,000 turns and each turn takes like 45 seconds, that adds up really, really fast.
At least it leads for good look ahead.
Yeah. Very good look ahead.
So how long did it take you to put it in the checkerboard?
25 hours. Yeah, 25 hours.
25 hours.
I didn't do it in one sitting. 288 90-degree turns. Yeah.
He did 288 turns.
Yep.
In 24 hours.
25.
25 hours.
Yeah.
For comparison, that's 4 turns, and that's like half a second.
Yeah.
So this is a beast turn.
Yeah, I wish the quality was better, but it works.
No, by all means, I don't think there's any feasible way for this level of cube to be turned into a speed cube. Yeah. I would love it. But
I would love it too, man. I don't want to say never because I hope that maybe one day, but you're probably right. It's probably not possible.
Yeah, I mean, when I held the 13 by 13, I thought that was impossible to speed cube, but it works well.
Yeah, it works pretty well.
So Preston.
Yeah.
Where can I buy one of these?
You can't. You could build one. I have the model posted.
No. Come on. I'm sure there's a price. Let's see. How about... no, 100's probably too much. I got a crisp Jackson right here.
Yeah, no.
For the ability to be in the same room with it, because it is not for sale. This thing is like, there's literally no value to it. You have to value it on your time.
Yeah, I apologize. I would never say it's not for sale. I would never be like just refusing to ever talk to somebody, but I don't think I'll ever find a buyer for this thing because its true value is ridiculously valuable because of how many hours I put into it. Just in terms of the materials, it was like $1,800, just plastic and tools, but that's kind of dwarfed by the 3,000 hours of effort that I poured into it.
Yeah.
And so, it just depends on how much I value my time, and then it becomes a simple math equation. If I were to value my time at just like $20 an hour, this thing's worth around like $60,000, but if I were to value it higher, this thing can easily get up into the hundreds of thousands of dollars in terms of its worth.
And the very fact that this exists, the level of knowledge that needs to go in to make this, it cannot be valued at $20 an hour.
Yeah. This is definitely specialty work. I imagine I'll probably have this for the rest of my life, and then the true value of it will be $0 because that's how much the museum will probably pay for it. Because hopefully it'll end up in a museum, and hopefully it won't be destroyed before I die. We'll see. I really hope that it lasts and sticks with me through my life, or maybe I'll give it to a museum myself if I get tired of it.
So if you don't know what it's worth, are you going to insure it?
I definitely should. I do not have it currently insured.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't scream that too loud.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just fine. If it was insured, it would probably give me more peace of mind. But at the end of the day, there's only one of it in the world, so it's not like I could replace it. So it's also hard to even know if an insurance company would even insure it because its value is so subjective.
Are you okay talking about the insurance part? Or do you want to cut that out?
Yeah, I just know nothing about insurance. Okay. I know you probably could if you paid enough money to an insurance company. You could probably get an insurance company to insure it, but I just know nothing. It's
like a piece of art. Like it's entirely subjective, and the person who would pay for it is sort of what sets its value. And there are people out there that would pay out the nose for something like this. The problem is finding them.
Yeah, the problem is finding them. Yeah.
So I know very little about puzzle building. I dabbled when I was at college, like 20 years ago, modifying a Rubik's 4x4 to make a 2x2x3, and I threw my back out. Did you design this in CAD?
Yes.
3D modeling?
Yes, I did. I designed this in SolidWorks. And
sponsor him.
Yeah, I learned how to 3D model in Blender, but I didn't ever try that for this. But then I went to Fusion 360, and then I went to SolidWorks ultimately. And through that process, I was going through. This was the 4th iteration of the design, and it was in the final iteration that I decided to add these curves. That I decided to go with this kind of bold look, and I'm very glad that I did. And it works. There's still major things that I'd change about the design now, but it works. So it's I don't have much to complain about at the end of the day.
Do you want to briefly go over what, if you had to do this again, what would you do differently?
In terms of the design, I would have definitely done more testing. Testing would have helped save me some really big headaches. I did some testing, but not enough testing. If I had just done better testing on the lateral tolerances, I should have had less material between the pieces, and that would have saved me a lot of headaches. But in terms of the design itself, I think I should have gone with something closer to like a modified V-cube design, if there's any of you out there that kind of are familiar with that. I went with some more of like a modified binary mechanism, and it works, but yeah. Overall, given many hours of sanding and looking at it, I realized that I'm not the biggest fan of the binary design. Sorry, this might be French to some, but yeah, that's what I'd change about the insides.
And if you don't know, 3D printing isn't like pops out of the printer, it's done. You have to spend an hour. How much time did you spend sanding? You said you might have given yourself lung cancer from all the plastic you inadvertently inhaled.
Yeah, so luckily for me, PETG seems to mostly melt when you use a Dremel, but I probably did like 1,000 hours of Dremel work.
And how long for stickering?
The stickering was probably 15 days of work, but it was over the course of like a month because I could not do it for a full day because it hurt my back so badly. Yeah. The stickering was miserable. I should have used colored plastic. That's another thing to the design.
Yeah.
I definitely
you get
should have.
through it 80 days in a row, you're like, That's what I forgot.
The reason I didn't use colored plastic, or at least what I was telling myself at the time, was that I was concerned about dissonant material properties with the different colors. Sometimes it's like known that yellow can be harder to print than green, or something along those lines.
Main camera died, so we're switching to phone. So you mentioned that there was another record, the 34 by 34. How was that in terms of time with your record?
Yeah, so unfortunately was not technically a record. I had no idea that a guy named Matt Bonner was working on a huge project at 34 by 34, which the record was a 33 by 33, so this would have beaten the record. He had been working on it for, I think, about a year, and I just had no clue that that was going on. I've been working on mine for almost 5 years, though not continuously. And the most unfortunate timing happened to play out. I finished my cube, and then I contacted the previous record holder saying, hey, I beat your record, and that was after I proved it, and I showed it to him, and then I was waiting on announcing it because I wanted to finish my announcement video, and then like 2 weeks later, Matt Bonner announced that he made the 34 by 34, and to his knowledge, it was the record, and I can't give him enough credit for this, but when I found out that he had made the record, and it was actually after when I had completed mine, I told him, like, dude, I can just wait on my announcement. Like, you can totally take the record. That's just fine.
It's very honorable.
Well, he felt that it wasn't a record. He felt that I had beaten him, and I was surprised, but no, I totally respect him in a way. I definitely respect him. But he decided he didn't want to pretend that his was a record because he felt that he was pretending if it were. And he actually kind of took it as a sign that he should do a bigger project. He's actually kind of vowed to do 100 by 100 now.
Oh,
which is
wow.
the craziest thing I've ever heard. But like, yeah, I can't tell you how much I respect Matt Bonner, and his cube was huge. His is quite significantly larger than mine, and it weighs over 100 pounds, and the turning quality is amazing. So yeah, out of every super high order Rubik's cube in the world, his is by far the best. And I know, yeah, I can't tell you how much respect I have for Matt Bonner. There's a really unfortunate thing that happened twice.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, no, this is, I can't tell you how unhappy I was about this. I wasn't expecting this at all. I wanted to announce my video just with a YouTube video, so I was working on my YouTube video after I finished this, and then Matt Bonner came out with his record, and then I was like, this is so unfortunate, and then he ended up announcing his cube before I was even done, and then it literally happened again. I was still working on my announcement video. I still hadn't announced the cube yet, and then a guy named Yang from China, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce his last name, he made a 35 by 35 by 35. So it was a 33, and then 7 years go by. I complete the 49, then 2 weeks later, a 34 gets made, and then like I think it was like a month after that, 35 gets made. So 33, 34, 35, and I again did not tell the world. I hadn't told the world, and this guy did not know that his record wasn't gonna be a record because I had already finished mine, and that was the most unfortunate situation. I had no clue that was coming. If I had known that either of these guys were working on their records, I would have definitely waited, just held off on finishing my project so they could have like held the record. And that's what happens when people don't communicate, and there's just no communication between the three of us. And if I had done a lot more research, I think I could have picked up on the fact that Matt was working on the 34, but I didn't, and it was just really unfortunate timing. And so, yeah, this guy who made the 35 by 35, his case is a little bit different because he didn't prove that his 35 by 35 worked, so it's hard to say if it would have been considered a record. But yeah, it literally happened twice. And then when that happened, I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm just going to now announce it. So like I just like immediately posted like the next day, like, hello world, this is my name. I've beaten the record. I wanted to make a YouTube video, but I just did like a Twisty Puzzles forum announcement just saying, hello, this is me, this is my record, and this is like me introducing myself to the world. And I wanted to finish my YouTube video, but because of this really unfortunate situation that somehow happened twice in a row, it kind of pushed me to announce it a lot sooner than I wanted to.
Dude, I used to frequent the Twisty Puzzle forums all the time.
Yeah.
Refreshing for higher order cubes.
Yeah, and so, yeah, this was quite the jump. Yeah, so Matt Bonner made a whole documentary. He made like an hour and a half documentary, I think, and then at the very end of his documentary, he talks about my cube, the 49 by 49, and
By 49.
By 49. And I can't tell you how much I respect Matt Bonner, and I can't tell you how much I envy the turn quality of his cube. It's much larger than mine, and he really takes advantage of how much better the tolerances can be at a higher scale, and it shows. So yeah.
For the layman's, can you briefly say what tolerance means?
Oh, sorry, for like the gaps between the pieces, so like how tight is the cube, and you have to make it so that it's a bit more loose, so that things don't like literally lock together, so there's no space. There has to be enough, looseness so that the pieces can actually slide over each other.
If it's too loose, it just rattles everywhere and falls apart.
Yeah, and the smaller it is, especially with 3D printing, it can be harder to get like really precise and fine tolerances. So the bigger it is, you can actually ensure your tolerance is more. And Matt's cube shows that immaculately, and how good you can get the tolerances to be, and how good you can get the turning quality to be on one of these puzzles if you go bigger. So yeah, there you go. There's that confusing situation. A lot of people were confused, and I can't blame them why they're confused about like, so wait, which record came when?
Who? How? What?
Yeah.
Giraffe?
So it was a really unfortunate situation.
Glad you had a chance to clear that up.
Yeah.
All of that is impressive. The timing is just ridiculous.
Yeah, it was, ridiculous is a
Have
great
you guys
word.
all three been in the same room together with your cubes?
No, I've never met Young. I don't think he's left China since finishing his cube, but I have met Matt, and I have not seen his cube in person, but it is obvious from his videos that it is so much better than mine. So yeah.
Well, you gotta take credit where it's due. We're sitting in front of the world's largest puzzle.
This is functional. It's functional.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's smooth, but thank you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it may be functional, but as cubers who have the knack to do something like this, or any cubers, we are very dysfunctional. And we wear it with pride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And I mean that with the most respect possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
To you too, I suppose.
Thank you. I'm special too. So we're here at the World Championship. There's been hundreds of people that have passed through here to look at this puzzle.
Yep.
Out of your experience, what did people ask the most, and what do you get tired of hearing? Like, vent a little bit.
Oh, I almost...
With playfulness.
I totally came here expecting that, well, a whole bunch of people were going to walk through, but a whole bunch of people were going to ask the same question, so I have not bothered.
Just have a giant questionnaire.
But yeah,
Read
pretty
the
much.
form.
One of the most common question I got was just how long did it take you? And then the answer was, it was about a year of work, but over the course of 5 years, because I was doing it during college. And the next question I usually get is, have you ever mixed it up and tried to solve it? And then I'd say, no, you can't solve it in any kind of reasonable time frame. I could solve it. If you can solve it 7 by 7, you can solve it.
Yep.
But I won't, because it would take so long. And I'm not very happy about that.
What are you
I wish
trying
I
to
could.
prove? You made the world record
Yeah,
cube.
I wish I could mix it up. It would be more fun. But if it were faster, maybe. But given how slow it is, I will never mix it up, I don't think. I was asked how much does it weigh. It weighs 65 pounds or 30 kilograms. How many stickers does it have? It has over 14,000 stickers. I can't quite remember the precise number. And then, some people asked how many pieces does it have, and it's 13,827. Yeah, I answered all these questions again and again, so you can really kind of feel the practice nature of them. But yeah, I think that kind of covers most of the normal questions.
I know as a speed cuber, I always get like, I just do take the stickers off. I'm like,
That's the most spent joke ever spoken, because everybody thinks that. I'm sure they could probably predict that other people have said that joke, but they all say the joke anyway.
Everybody thinks of the same ones.
Yeah. So there you go.
So let's just do a quick wrap up here. I'm with Preston, the world record holder for the highest order Twisty puzzle. They called it rotating puzzle, but we know it's a Twisty puzzle. 49 by 49 by 49. Somebody has to be a certain level of insane to make a puzzle like this. I love it. I respect it. What in the world got you started?
What got me started on this project?
Yeah.
At one point in freshman year, I was wanting to do something big. I wanted to create something, and
World peace was like,
yeah. I wanted to do something while I was during college, just because I wanted something interesting in my life at the time, I suppose. I was studying music at first, actually, and then I was getting bored of it. I eventually switched to engineering, but in that process I figured out, I watched the previous record holder's video of the 33 by 33, and I just thought that was the most wonderful thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. Just the existence of the 33 by 33, I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I was already getting into 3D modeling at the time, and I had tried my hand at making cubes in the past, and then I was just like, well, what if I could beat the record? And so, it took me like 4 iterations, and later down the line, and at first I wasn't even sure if I was going to do it, because I didn't quite have the skill set, and I had to develop a lot of skills to build something like this. And then I finally...
So wait, you've got a sweet set of skills? All staff skills? Building higher order Twisty puzzle skills?
Yeah, nunchuck skills.
Yeah. Taking off any sweet jumps? Buckling like a baby?
Yeah, so I had to develop a lot of those sweet skills with time and blood, sweat, and tears. And in the end, I made it. I was not sure at first that I'd actually pull it off. And I'm very, very glad that I stuck to it in the end.
Very impressive. Are there any shout outs that you want to, like, if this video found the right audience, are there any people that you want to say hi to and be like, hey, I want to work for you?
Oh, no, yeah, I've been looking for a job. I'm hoping to work possibly for some kind of like toy company or even like a mathematical puzzles company, like physical 3D puzzles would be wonderful. Of course, I could always I could try to find a job for a Twisty puzzle company, but a lot of them are based in China, and so it's kind of hard to find a job there. Aside from that, I just had lots of friends and family that would come for afternoons and help me out.
Yeah.
I did almost all of the work, but my friends and family kept me sane through this process, especially the summers I was living alone and working on this thing. So I always love to thank them, kind of remember that every project isn't just a monolith. It's not just one person doing something. It
takes a village to raise
an
idiot.
village.
No.
It takes a village to raise a 49 by 49.
Yes, that's official. That's the words.
Yeah.
So last question, man. What keeps you going and what's next? I said last question, but that's two.
Yeah, I just have a passion for Twisty puzzles right now. I'm certainly on the uphill, I think, with my passion for 3D puzzles, and I'm getting more into it. I'm expanding my collection, and I want to become more of a normal name around here. And I've already been working on a few other things. There's a family of cubes that I'm working on right now. They're all spherical, and I look forward to announcing them. But yeah, I really hope one day that I'll be able to, point at a huge table of designs that like these. I made all of these, and right now that's really what I'd like to do.
A family of cubes.
Yeah, exactly.
Personally, if I can't make friends, I make families of cubes.
Yes. You can always rely on your families of cubes.
They talk crap behind your back, but they're always there for you.
Yeah.
Preston, great meeting you.
It's nice meeting you too.
Thank you for being an interviewer. Words. And I'm glad I get to see this beast in person.
Yeah, I appreciate your interest. I really do.
Links to everything, his socials in the description. What's your website?
Probably just go to my YouTube channel. It's just Preston's Puzzles, or you can just look up the 49 by 49. My video will pop up.
There's not like several of these videos online. You get confused which one it is.
Oh yeah, I have another video that's like super long, but it was like of my video logs I was taking in the process, but it's not as high quality. It's more for those who like to see the small details and the nitty gritties.
And if you're at this point in the video, that's going to be for you.
Yeah,
Thanks for
maybe
watching,
if you
guys.
made it this far, I super appreciate it. Thank you, and let's hope this record gets bigger. I hope I get beat. Let's see when that happens.
The cubing community is so freaking wholesome. I love it. Everybody's wanting the best for everybody else.
Yeah.
Challenge accepted. Or whatever. I don't know. Who's next? Who's going to be the next world record holder? See you guys in the next one.
Boy, that was quite the show. Thanks again to Preston Alden for his literally Guinness World Record largest Twisty puzzle ever created. Check out his links down below and keep cubing. Bye. Rubiksguy out.